Welcome to Star Tech. In this news series, I'm going to be covering Apple and whether most people would welcome the change of Apple changing its charging connectors and how that will affect not just Apple, but how it will affect Android phones, because Android phones now still have the micro USB port on their phones, whether it's the old Samsungs, whether it's the Nokia series. So we're just going to cover that today. So if you do disagree, if you do agree with the changes that Apple's going to implement and Android as well, do let me know in that comments if you think the change is a bit overwhelming for people to get used to and people might not get used to that. Let me know your opinions. But yeah, let's further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first news article we're going to read is long-awaited common charger for mobile devices will be a reality in 2024. One single charger for all mobile phones and tablets, beneficial for the environment and the consumers. But the thing is, I don't know how that would be right there, because it says for the consumers. But if you've got an older mobile phone that you still use today, and that charging is micro USB, how would it benefit you? Because that phone has been manufactured with the micro USB connector. Same with an iPhone. You're going to have to get like maybe a charging a charging adapter so that you can have to connect your old lightning cable to a new one to a USB-C. So is it going to cause more frustration than it should? I think it will be, because you've got to buy adapters just to get your phone to charge. I mean, it's really, people ain't going to make all that fuss to do that, are they? So it's going to be frustrating for anyone that has an older mobile phone, an older iPhone as well. I know the iPhones, I think the iPhone XRs and up, I've started to do that USB-C charging. I might be wrong on the models, but for now, where manufacturers are adapting to this change, it won't affect many people. But if you still got an older mobile phone, then some frustration will be on the way, which I don't agree. I don't think people should have to buy adapters, because how is that going to help the environment necessarily? Because you've got to buy add-ons to charge your mobile phone in a sense. So I don't understand how the point of it being a benefit for the environment is a bit of a 50-50 in an overall sense scenario. Let's just read here and see what we got for the informative point. So by the end of 2024, all mobile phones, tablets and cameras sold in the EU will have to be equipped with a new USB Type-C charging port. From spring 2026, the obligation will extend to laptops. So even laptops will have to have a USB-C. I mean, that's also going to be a bit of bother as well, because if you ordered, I don't know, an older laptop, and you might not have ordered it with a USB-C connector to charge your laptop with, the demand for those chargers will be high, so they're going to be running out of stock quicker, and it's going to cause more frustration for the people that can't get a hold on a charger to charge their laptop. So it's going to create that very overwhelming and frustrating feeling that shouldn't have to come to. I mean, manufacturers should have that choice whether to produce USB-C or whatever choice they are using to be beneficial for the environment, maybe like less plastic packaging and all that. But yeah, for people that might have older laptops as well, it's going to affect the whole technical or technology sector. So I don't understand how, like I said in the earlier part of the video, how it can be benefit for the consumers, because it's not really beneficial to either party. Under the new rules, consumers will no longer need a different charger every time they purchase a new device, as they will be able to use one single charger for a whole range of small and medium-sized portable electronical equipment. So we've really covered that then. So by the end of 2024, all mobile phones, tablets, and iPads, so it's even going to affect your iPad. It's not just going to affect your mobile, it's going to extend to everything you would use in everyday life, and I think that's a bit too far-fetched there. So Apple has already stated there that they have to comply because the EU rules have actually come into effect. But this is where most people wouldn't wouldn't really know about is that if they just implementing USB-C on the iPhones, iPads, and everything else, it's going to limit what you can do to that device on the creativity point of view. So if you had to adapt to that change, then you can't really you can't add any creativity to that manufacturing process. So it's going to limit all things. But I suppose, if it's a law, you've got to comply with it. But it's going to affect the creativity of the product. It's going to forget. It's going to affect the overall design of it because that's by law your standard connector. And I think there should be a bit of leeway there. Maybe have a wireless charger, but would wireless charger affect the environment? Because they got a single plug, but it's still a wire. So are they gonna do wireless chargers next? So yeah, it's a bit coincidental how the laws now are changing, and now they're on about the environmental impacts, which I understand because it'll decrease electronical waste, but it's going to create an overwhelming frustration for anyone that haven't adapted to this new law change that's coming for next year. So it's going to be really frustrating. It really is. So by the customer company have pushed back against requirements to switch its phones to standard, saying that strict regulation mandating just one type of connector stifles innovation rather than encouraging it, which in turn will harm consumers in Europe and all around the world. So we just made that point there. So the thing is, it's also going to affect the iPhone 15 as well. So if the iPhone 15 then is going straight to this connector, which they'll have to anyway, how would they market an iPhone Pro or an iPhone 15 Pro or an iPhone 15 Pro Max? Because the design of the product for the charging point of view is going to stick the same. So how are they going to encourage people then to buy the Pro models? There's a lot of questions and there is answers when a new law like this is going to come into effect from next year. So it's really, really concerning, because in the next 10 years, how many other things will it impact? Will impact your kitchen equipment? Will it impact anything else? You just really wonder that point, because if it's affecting the electronical sector, what else is it going to affect? So the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Pro USB-C port and accompanying charging cables will feature a Lightning-like Authentica chip, potentially limiting their functionality with Apple and improved accessories. So let's see if we can go to the middle here. So latest rumors seem to suggest that Apple has developed a similar IC for the USB-C ports on the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Pro, presumably its charging cables as well as the iPhone 15 lineup. The new IC is apparently designed for new MF certified peripherals. It is unclear these additions could have any major implications for the functionality of the new devices, but it is possible that Apple could limit features like fast charging and high-speed data to transfer Apple to MFI cables. So the only thing that will change in the iPhone 15 series is the fast charging, but that's got some issues as well because the iPhone 13 have got fast charging capacity. The thing is, the faster the charger that can produce electricity to charge your phone quicker, would it decrease your battery overall? Because if you're charging it over time, and this might not be compatible with the over phone, like the phone components, will it wear those components out? It's a wondering factor, like where it says they're going to limit that transfer speed, but I don't know how you can, because the only way of doing that is if you limit your official wireless charger. If people buy third-party chargers like from Amazon, and they can get more speed than the original, people won't necessarily have to upgrade if the faster charging is going to decrease and the data speed, but there's always a workaround. So it's going to be a lot more there, I would find, for people to really get that iPhone 15 Pro model. But maybe the cameras could change, maybe everything like that could change. But for the charging connectivity, that's something that won't change. So the iPhone 15s and the future models will have a bit of a competition on their hands because People might just buy Samsung straight out. People might just get third-party chargers. So if that's the only thing that they're going to limit for the iPhone 15 standard mobile phone device, then most people would get that. Who knows? But I think there's a lot more that's needed to convince people to get the iPhone 15 Pro. But nobody's responsible for the law. The law's out of Apple hands, it's out of Samsung hands, it's out of everyone's hands. But now they've got to really market that product even better compared to this charging law that's now going to be enforced by the next year. I personally find it's concerning. I mean, if people have an iPhone 6, they go buy adapters, which they don't really need. They don't really want adapters, but that's what they have to be forced to if they got that older model. Even old iPads as well, maybe even MacBooks might be affected, because I know the older MacBooks doesn't have the USB connector. So it's going to affect the entire sector, the sector. And I find that a concern, because if it's going to affect that next year, what else will be affected? But, well, let me know your thoughts, everybody. Do you think this change is good? Do you think the time is right to implement this change for the environment? Or do you think it's something that should happen in small stages, not happen in the way that it's going to happen next year? Let me know in the comments what you think, but that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do hit that like button, do subscribe, and do share, and I'll see you on the next one.